Sitting room only tonight, huh? What do you think of the new hairdo? I was gonna get that little thing taken up the middle, like Peter Gabriel when he was with Genesis on the Foxtrot tour. Remember? Watcher of the sky, watcher of all. This is the end of man's long union with earth. Okay. Let's see who fed it, who ate it this week. Jocelyn Elders, fired this week as a Surgeon General after she made remarks that masturbation perhaps should be taught in school. You know, masturbation needs to be taught in high school like holding your breath needs to be taught in diving class, all right? I'm masturbating as I speak. But I'm sure I'm doing it wrong. As for her future plans, Ms. Elders said she is considering offers from several universities to teach masturbation, and she's just been hired as the new spokesperson for Vaseline Intensive Care Lotion, so it's all going to work out for Jockey. We love you, Jocelyn. Shouldn't have been fired. Bright woman. What's Clinton doing? Get some balls. You know, the House Republicans already have a version of how they plan to pay for a middle-class tax cut. It includes selling the lower class to the upper class. So, Orville Faubus, the governor of Arkansas, who defied federal orders to desegregate schools in Little Rock, died on Wednesday. The cause of death was officially listed as karma. And convicted murderer Raymond Kinnaman was executed in Texas Sunday. Kinnaman gave a rambling 30-minute final statement, but prison officials began pumping lethal drugs into his system anyway, a trick worth remembering next time Spalding Gray comes to your town. A new survey this week shows that more than 60% of Americans think that Jesus Christ will return to Earth, and out of that, 45% believe he will go online when he gets here. The computer nerds, loving it. Light and lighters, yeah, man. Modem! A study among high school seniors in 1994 shows that smoking marijuana is on the increase compared to seniors in 1991. The really unfortunate statistic here is that they're the same seniors. You know, remember, thank you. Remember when we reported last week about Cokie the dog who was stopped at Kennedy Airport coming into America with 10 packets of cocaine stuffed inside of him? DEA officials now believe that he acted alone. Crazy. A new poll in the USA Today indicates that women are half as likely to pursue a career in politics as men. Gee! Who would believe that women wouldn't want to spend their whole day locked in a room with pot-bellied, cigar-chomping, gin-soaked, megalomaniacal assholes, huh? Commerce Secretary Ron Brown told reporters he has not decided whether or not he will run President Clinton's re-election campaign. He said he first wants to see if he can get that gig importing pork rinds into Israel. You know, and, yeah. In New York City, controversial Cardinal John J. O'Connor, known for his staunch anti-gay policies, said he will offer his resignation to the Pope when he turns 75 on January 15th. Upon his retirement, O'Connor will receive a gold watch and a conscience. You know, I don't want to get off on a rant here, but I need to have a little tete-a-tete with my heterosexual brothers and sisters. Could we get over this gay thing, please? Like right now? I mean, gay men and gay women have been around since the dawn of time, which predates even Jesse Helms by 20 years. Why do they do it? Where does it come from? Is it environmental? Is it genetic? Hey, I don't care if they find a chiffon scarf on the X chromosome. The important thing is homosexuality is here to stay. You know, so many people are into so many different things sexually. Why single out a group of people and hound them, beat them, decry their existence, deprive them of jobs, even in the military, the one place every unemployable American knows he can go to for a plate of beans and a dental plan? I mean, come on. Who cares about homosexuality, really? I mean, who cares what coupling gives any consenting adult pleasure? All we should care about is the people who are going home and getting off somehow with someone, anyone, because a person who gets off tends to not be a nut who gets off offing people, all right? You know, about the only people I might quibble with are bisexuals, because I think we'll all agree at some point these people are just incredibly greedy motherfuckers. And you know, I don't ask much from a human being, but come down off the fence and pick a hole, all right? I don't care what you fuck, but fuck it regularly. Now, this is not to say I don't have my differences with some members of the gay community. When I'm watching the gay pride parade and the genitals are our friends float cruises by with two leather-bound eraser heads dressed up as Timmy and Tommy, the testicle twins, sure. I get the same creepy feeling I get when I hear Shatner sing. But you know something? The bottom line is that's their business, and at the end of the day, I think we'll all agree it's relatively harmless business, the parade thing. That being said, that we need to be tolerant of sexual proclivities of others, there are those who fall outside the great campfire of heterosexual weenie roasts and swing-alongs, and they have got to stop wasting their time looking across-the-board validation. It's just not going to happen, not on this planet, not in our lifetime. ACT UP and other radical SWAT teams from the genital fringe have got to hit the mute button, because that caterwauling is throwing all the wrong switches out there in the vast heartland of America. Also, there's no need for members of ACT UP to throw condoms at Catholic priests. It's disrespectful, and besides, these days, most priests already have their own condoms. And on the straight side of the ledger, right-wing politicians and flacks have got to stop preaching the politics of exclusion. Pat Buchanan is so homophobic he blames global warming on the AIDS quilt. You know something? It's time to grow up. It is time for us to grow up, to stop looking for bogeymen under the bed. We don't have the time to waste. I don't know if you've peeked through the levelers lately, but we are rollerblading towards chaos with no elbow pads. The infrastructure of civilized society is unraveling faster than O.J. Simpson's alibi. What the hell? Why don't we try some tolerance? Because we need all the bright, capable people we can possibly get our hands on. We've got to ratchet down on the sexual hysteria in this country. Live and let live, folks. Let your neighbor come home, get out of his car, wave happily at you as he goes into his home, and then you know something? Forget about him or her. Let it go. Why do we try to intellectualize sex anyway? It resides in an exalted position in the visceral pantheon because it is the great unfigurable. We don't know much about it, but we do know that the orgasm never disappoints. You've never come and thought, ooh, what was that? It's always there for you. You know that incredible feeling when you're in the midst of one of those Santino Corleone door-banging froths, one of those Arthur C. Clarke memorial fucks where you look down at the bottom of the bed and you see that big monolith and you don't have any idea what it means, but you know something really, really important is about to happen. And the guy's got that Eddie Vedder head shake thing going, and the woman's muttering under her breath like Donovan singing Hurdy-Gurdy Man. And you realize at that precise moment you are at the pleasurable epicenter of the Milky Way galaxy. And then, as so frequently happens in human endeavors, one of the other sexual partners inadvertently hurts the other person by accidentally elbowing them or leaning on their hair. The pain breaks the sexual frame of reference. We begin to decompress and intellectualize again. And when you consider sex from that narrow perspective, you see it's really such an odd, quirky little exercise. And the woman's just about to kiss her own tit, and she sees you looking at her with that tilt head look like your dog at his bowl when you change his food on him. She realizes you're no longer in the throes of it. She tries to smooth her way out, but she knows you've caught her, and she looks at you and says, if you ever mention it, I'll kill you in your sleep, you treacherous cocksucker. And that is sex, so leave it alone. Don't even try to figure it out. Of course, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. Thank you. Thank you. I want to know what you think, America. Give me a call at 1-800-LACTOSE. You know, my guest tonight is one of the greatest tennis players in history, and at least in this man's opinion, one of the classiest athletes I've ever had the pleasure to observe in the last 2 decades. Please welcome Martina Navratilova. Martina. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good evening. How you doing, Martina?
Well, I'm a little sore. I went snowboarding for the first time yesterday, so I'm nursing a sore body. But actually, it's sore from using different muscles, not from falling down too much.
I'm guessing from that big chair you're sitting in what you fell on, huh? Now listen, I have to ask you, one of your compatriots, the very eloquent Arthur Ashe, once said that shouldering up under the HIV was not the biggest burden in his life. Indeed, it was being a black man in America. I'm wondering, how great a burden have you found your sexuality to be in your life?
Well, I don't know, because I wasn't looked on as a straight woman, so I don't have that perspective, and I don't know how Arthur would know being black is so difficult, because he was never white, but I guess he can compare it to white people, and I can compare it to heterosexual people, and looking at the response that, for example, Chris Evert has had in her career has always been very, very positive. The response of the media and the public towards me has only been positive the last 5, 6, 7 years perhaps. The first 10 years or so of my career, it's been pretty rough. And I don't know how much of it is my sexuality, how much of it is me, or the way I played the game, or the way I responded to the people and the media, but sexuality certainly had something to do with it.
You know, I think so little of others' sexuality. I haven't really paid attention to when you kind of started, if not inferring, or just definitely coming out and saying. Was that 5 or 6 years ago? Can you trace this good feelings people have to the time where you just came out and declared yourself?
No, it's actually been longer than that. I mean, back in 1980, I was outed by a reporter, and sort of have been out since then as a bisexual or a gay woman. Mm-hmm. But only the last 2 or 3 years, I've really been vocal about it. Also, the gay issue has been much more in the public's eye, so I've had the opportunity to be more vocal about it. And another reason I've been more vocal about it is because I've been single for the first time, and I didn't have to worry about my partners being in the closet.
All right. Now, you brought up Chris Evert, and I've always thought that Chris's exchange with the American people, while convivial, always seemed to me to exist on such a cosmetic level. And yet I've seen times when you've won and lost, mostly when you lost, as a matter of fact, where the crowd had such a tremendous outpouring, and you would start to, I've seen you cry, and it seems so utterly human that I have to wonder, the ups and downs of your relationship in some ways seem much more interesting to me than that sort of flatline thing that Chris has with the American public. Do you, and I'm not putting Chris down, I'm just saying they know what they get there. With you, I've always looked at you and thought, Christ, this woman is such an intricate person. I've always dug that about you. Do you find that lately you've been getting more of that? People just love the fact that you're so open and so human?
Well, I think the openness and honesty certainly has come through. I've always been honest, but sometimes people didn't really want to hear what I had to say. But now it seems they've come to terms with it and realized that I really just say exactly what's on my mind. I'm not trying to make anybody mad or make anybody feel any which way. I'm just saying exactly what I feel. And also people relate to, not losers, but certainly when you win everything, it's hard to have some heartfelt feelings for a person. And Chris had a hard time with it. The crowds were pulling for her to lose when she first came on the scene. When I was number one, people were pulling for my opponent because they're pulling for the underdog. And so the last 5 or 6 years when I have not been number one, I think the public has had an easier time to pull for me because I'm the underdog.
When you came from Czechoslovakia to America, always, I guess from afar, thought to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, were you somewhat shocked to find out that sometimes we're not so free and not so brave about other people's personal lives?
Well, when I first came here, I didn't feel that way. I was surprised that the women athletes were not as welcomed as they were in Czechoslovakia. I think this was the only good thing about communism, is that they welcome women athletes as much as they welcome men athletes.
On equal footing, Martina?
The only place, the only time, perhaps the only good thing about the communists, that they really didn't care if you were a man or a woman as long as you were a good athlete. So they encouraged me, and I was surprised that wasn't the case in this country. But then, really, to me, the dark part came when George Bush got into presidency, and Ronald Reagan first, and George Bush. And I felt that this country became much more forbidding and saying, no, you cannot do this, no, you cannot do that, no, we don't want you here. And I almost felt like I was going back to Czechoslovakia in that it was very prohibitive. This country became very prohibitive.
Regression. We have a phone call here, line one, Derek from McRoberts, Kentucky. Derek? You there?
Yeah. Dennis?
Hi, Derek.
First off, it's great to have you back on the air.
Thank you.
To Martina, how does it feel to be retired and no longer in tennis after all these years?
Well, I'll be playing a lot of exhibitions next year, and since I retired, which was my last match 3 weeks ago in New York, I've played, I think, 11 exhibitions in 8 different countries in Europe and South America. I just got back from a trip to South America 2 days ago, so I have not retired. And actually, looking at my calendar next year, the first 3 months of the year, I'll be traveling more than I have when I used to play, because I used to have that excuse, say, no, I can't do that. I got to practice or work out or play a tournament. Now I don't have that excuse anymore, and I'll be traveling more, actually.
You know, Martina, homosexuals are so unjustly judged so often. Do you think you were drawn to tennis because it was taken out of judges' hands? It's sort of like just you and another person across the net, and it's in your hands?
Well, when I first started playing tennis, I certainly didn't know that I was gay. I just liked hitting that tennis ball. And but looking back now, I realized that perhaps I chose tennis as a non-judgmental sport, although sometimes you do hit a good ball and they say, no, it's out. Golf is better that way. When you put the ball in the hole, they can say, oh, no, that didn't go in the hole, and you have to putt again. But I was not judged on how I look, how I act. When I played Chris, I've shuddered to think what would have happened if they were saying, oh, well, you're a better player, but, you know, we like the way Chris looks better. Or I shouldn't be picking on Chris, but it's obviously the typical contrast that the two of us
I think everybody
had.
knows you guys have a tight enough relationship that you can talk openly about the ebb and flow of your relationship. We have another call, line two, Tamara Kay from Corpus Christi, Texas. I'm getting the feeling this is a Mary Kay cosmetic rep, right?
No, not at all.
Okay,
hey,
Tamara.
Dennis.
I'm sorry, babe. Go ahead.
Yes, my question is, I'm wondering if Martina has ever felt that she was ever denied being a positive role model because of her sexuality.
Did you hear, Martina?
Yeah, I can hear. I'm just trying to figure out the answer. I feel I have not been denied that positive role model role by the media, but I have been denied it by the Madison Avenue, the people that make decisions about endorsements and who is fit to be endorsing a certain product. So I have not had it from Madison Avenue, but I've had it from the media. I mean, I think I've been playing for so long now, nobody dares to write anything nasty about me anymore. Sort of like Kate Hepburn, you know, she can say anything and get away with it. So I'm quite enjoying it actually these days, yeah. But my head's not shaking.
Well, Martina, over the years, you've made my head shake a lot with your tennis and with the way you approach your life. I really respect you a lot. I mean, I don't know you. I don't want to sound sucky, but I look at you from afar and I think, you know, I think she's a cool woman. So it's nice to finally talk to you. Thank you for being on tonight.
Dennis. You're a cool guy. Thanks a lot.
All right, Martina. Good night now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Martina. Let's go to the big screen. What a dame. Here we see the Gingrich who stole Christmas with Bob Dole this week. They promised to cut spending drastically in front of a replica of the Capitol building that cost $20,000 to build. What you can't see here is the sign on the back that says whites only. You know, in a move to help institute the middle-class tax cut, Clinton staff members henceforth agreed to cut back to one-paper joints. That's the spirit, boys. Here we see the loyal members of the 22nd Expeditionary Unit honoring their Commander-in-Chief, Bill Clinton, by shooting themselves in the foot. Yellow, Oval Office. No, he's just signing some bills, watching the Playboy Channel. Here we see Jocelyn Elders, the outspoken ex-Surgeon General, after she was fired by President Clinton, telling Washington, D.C. reporters, shoot up, beat off, do whatever the fuck you want, I'm out of this shithole. Orange County, one of the nation's wealthiest and most conservative counties, declared bankruptcy last week. California Governor Pete Wilson blames the dire straits on undocumented workers sneaking over the border, getting high finance positions in government, and then using public funds to make incredibly bad investments. At a charity fundraiser earlier this week, Robert Conrad and Jerry Ford reminded each other who they are. Marshall Field's department store in Chicago turned loose 500 elves to help spread holiday cheer on Wednesday. The men and women dressed as Santa's helpers handed out subway and bus tokens and candy, pumped gas for motorists, and engaged in random acts of kindness. By Thursday morning, 94 of the elves had been stabbed, 11 had been shot, and 8 are still missing and feared dead. No, you can't pay me in cigarettes. Now, here's what I'd look like if I was only half Japanese. Did you just say I'm free to go? Oh, I'm free to go back. Ah, Mr. Simpson, glad to see you again. Will we be dining alone tonight, sir? Yeah, Santa, it's Prancer. Yeah, it's like this. We're not getting airborne until we get that cost of living thing, okay, babe? The Russian chapter of Now held a rally this week with the theme, "We can kill as needlessly as our men can." So all I'm saying is if Cindy Crawford married Richard Gere, it means she dates Buddha, so why shouldn't I take a run at her? I gotta be a better actor than Gere. Sad sign at times in Russia. Petty crime there is so bad that anti-shoplifting devices had to be installed on President Boris Yeltsin's ear this week. Gee, this week saw the opening of Tom Arnold's new restaurant, which carries no silverware whatsoever. In this photo of University of California sophomore Liz Fernandez's dorm room, there are 17 hidden birth control devices. How many can you spot? Jury selection in the second Heidi Fleiss trial began this week. Here, Hugo Chavez, a Venezuelan military officer, asked Fidel Castro, "Is this a banana republic, or are you just happy to see me?" Darryl Strawberry was in court again this week. Strawberry appeals forever. And earlier this week, we had a rare solar eclipse of the moon. And finally, you are in my power. No, I'm in your cab. Take me to LaGuardia. Guess what, folks? That's the news, and I am out of here. Good night.